So very good morning you all. Myself Dr. Sandeep Tripathi. Today I'll be going to discuss with you a new topic, a very contemporary and relevant topic with you. The topic is the notion of strategic autonomy and India's foreign policy. We will see in this lecture how India has evolved its, the doctrine of strategic autonomy in its foreign policy. So thank you so much. Let us see. Thank you.
Today's as far as myself is concerned, so I think this slide says something about myself. My background is I did my PhD from Ministry of Allahabad in political science, and then I completed my Master of Philosophy, MPhil, and a doctorate degree from Jawaharlal Nehru University. And over the years, 1 decade, I have been contributing lectures, articles, as well as on so various platforms, including the foreign universities. And I presented myself in televisions like CCTV and NDTV for India's national issues, especially foreign policy. So this is about myself, the brief background. So today I'll be going to discuss about the notion of strategic autonomy. The notion of strategic autonomy and Indian foreign policy. So guys, you know that this topic is very, very important today in a globalized world, a world that has become integrated completely. And the subject of India foreign policy is very, very relevant in all examination point of view, as well as is relevant to all the young minds to understand what is taking place around the world, in your neighbor, in your extended neighborhood, and as well as the other continents. So as far as the topic is concerned, the topic is highly relevant for your examination point of view, and it is relevant, it is important to understand the complexity as well as the India's decision-making process. Because day-to-day life, we are witness to see sometimes India's stand on Russia different, sometimes India's stand on USA different. तो आखिर ये ऐसा क्या होता है कि कहीं रूस भारत के करीब आता है, तो कहीं यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स भारत के करीब आता है, और तो कहीं चाइना को घेरने के लिए रूस हमारे साथ आता है. हम जब ईरान के क्लोज जाते हैं तो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स हमसे नाराज होता है. जब हम यूएस के करीब जाते हैं तो रशिया हमसे नाराज होता है. तो ये सारे पहलू हैं. These are all the aspects. Today we will understand the changing dynamics. Why? How did it happen? ये ऐसा क्यों हुआ? And how did it happen? ऐसा होता क्यों? सवाल इस बात का है. So इस पॉइंट को लेकर के आपके बीच आज डिस्कस करूंगा कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट इश्यूज को, कि और इसको थोड़ा हिंदी में भी मैं एक्सप्लेन करूंगा. जो टॉपिक का हिंदी में इसका अर्थ ये है, सामरिक स्वायत्तता, भारतीय विदेश नीति में सामरिक स्वायत्तता. इसमें मतलब ये हुआ कि भारत अपनी जब विदेशी नीति तय करता है तो उसमें सामरिक स्वायत्तता का जो एक पहलू है, जो सिद्धांत है, ये कहाँ तक भारतीय विदेशी नीति में परिलक्षित होता है, दिखाई देता है. That means how far it is visible in making the India's foreign policy, in determining the India's foreign policy. So let me start this topic from this statement. Henry Kissinger, the former National Security Advisor, Henry Kissinger once said he said that about the national interest, that a national interest of any country is not fixed. Okay, so the interaction of the interaction of any other country, it is not you can say a fixed criteria. I got it. So let me quote exactly. He says that America has no permanent friends or enemies. So what is the permanent? Only interest. Got it? So इसका हिंदी में कहूँ तो हेनरी किसिंगर is a renowned political scientist, a political theorist. He was the former national security advisor, the former president in the United States, Richard Nixon. So he was the NSA, National Security Advisor, during the Nixon period. And he played a very important role in the foreign policy of the United States. तो हेनरी किसिंगर कहते हैं कि अमेरिका का कोई स्थायी शत्रु नहीं है, कोई स्थायी मित्र नहीं है. यदि कोई भी चीज स्थायी है तो वो उसका हित है. So guys, why I'm quoting this statement in Indian context? Because this line is completely grounded. This line is completely applicable when we introspect, when we see the history of India's foreign policy, especially after 1947. That how India has evolved its foreign policy and how India has enjoyed, yet cherished the notion of strategic autonomy. So let me first come about the notion of strategic autonomy. First, समझते हैं कि आखिर ये strategic autonomy है क्या? इसके बाद देखेंगे कि भारतीय विदेश नीति में ये कहाँ तक दिखाई देती है और एज ए थियरी, एज ए डॉक्ट्रिन, एज ए सिद्धांत के रूप में ये जो strategic autonomy है, सामरिक स्वायत्तता है, how far India has realized this doctrine in determining, in formulating its foreign policy, especially to deal neighbors, to deal major powers. So first of all, let me define. Strategic autonomy prioritizes self-sufficiency and independence. It seeks to keep Indian decision-making free from external pressure. यहाँ पर important तीन शब्द बहुत important है कि strategic autonomy means self-sufficiency. That means हम self-sufficient है and independence. Independence from whom? Independence from the external pressure, right? विदेशी नीति को तय करने में हम कहाँ तक स्वायत्त हैं, हम स्वतंत्र हैं. और स्वतंत्रता का मतलब यहाँ पर ये हुआ कि to what extent India is independent in determining the orientation of its foreign policy, whether it is neighborhood or whether it is with the major powers. So इसका मतलब ये हुआ, सामरिक स्वायत्तता का मतलब यहाँ पर ये हुआ कि the free from external pressures. Okay. Later on, I'll discuss the external pressure. You will see, आप देखेंगे कि external pressure होता क्या है. For example, if India is getting more and more close towards Iran, so United States it starts a threat to India. But the economic sanction, okay, don't to be get close towards Iran. So I'll discuss later the external pressure. That means, इसका हिंदी में कहूँ तो बाहरी दबाव क्या होता है. और in the history we will see, I will present some examples before you how India has tackled, how India has maintained this external pressure while determining its foreign policy, while determining dealing its neighborhood, extended neighborhood, or in the West Asia or the Europe or the US or the South Asia, or the other continents like the South America. So it is applicable to everywhere. Got it? So this is what the external pressure. ओके, अब क्वेश्चन ये है, सवाल ये उठता है कि भारत की विदेश नीति में ये जो एक्सटर्नल प्रेशर का सवाल है कहाँ से आता है? Guys, you know that after independence, a country like India, a newly born state, so to become independent was a priority. It was values. It was value system in the in our foreign policy, and it was a cherished one. We want to enjoy, we want to cherish the notion of independence, the notion of autonomy. हम इसको जीना चाहते थे, हम स्वतंत्र हुए थे, एक नया राज्य राष्ट्र बना, स्टेट का इमरजेंस हुआ, तो वहां पर हम नहीं चाहते थे कि हम किसी तरह के एक्सटर्नल प्रेशर पर आए, और इसलिए you know that sometimes this strategic autonomy and the non-alignment. I'll discuss later the concept of non-alignment. However, I'll define here a very short introduction about the non-alignment, because non-alignment and strategic autonomy both are interrelated to each other. Okay, strategic autonomy is the first phase, and non-alignment is the philosophy. Okay, so what is the non-alignment? After the independence, I think you are familiar this this entire scenario. After the independence, the world was divided in a power-driven scenario. The world was divided into the two poles. One pole is headed by the USSR, Soviet Union, and other pole was guided by the United States. So the India did not want to be entangled between the two poles, because India wanted to enjoy, to cherish its long-standing awaited freedom. So that is why India, coined, because it was the leader to forge this concept of the non-alignment. So I'll discuss it later, the theory of non-alignment. But in short, I can say non-alignment means that India will not be joined any power-ridden camp. The camp, one side the USSR and other side the United States. Okay. So India wanted to maintain some space from both camps, just because to enjoy, to maintain its strategic autonomy. So here, strategic autonomy is the precondition, is the existing condition of the non-alignment theory. So this is all about the strategic autonomy. I hope that you must have got this point, the strategic autonomy. So during the Cold War era, as you know, after the post Second World War, especially 1945, the Cold War started, and the Cold War, as I said, the Cold War, that means a war, a tension, and the tussle between the two superpowers. One is the USSR and other is the United States. So India wanted to lead a third world countries. India was aspired to become a global third world leader. Okay, so you can say you आप इस बात को एहसास कर सकते हैं कि how far the notion of strategic autonomy philosophically it has rooted. ये हमारे सिद्धांत में भी है, और दार्शनिक पहलू से भी देख सकते हैं इसको, कि philosophically the notion of strategic autonomy has been rooted in India's foreign policy doctrine, the India's foreign policy theory. Got it? So this is all about that India adopted this strategic autonomy through the non-alignment movement. हिंदी में इसे कहूँ गुट निरपेक्ष आंदोलन. गुटों से निरपेक्ष होना, इसकी बहुत इंटरप्रिटेशन है अलग अलग तरीके से, जिसको हम बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे कि भारत के लिए गुट निरपेक्ष क्या था, वेस्ट के लिए, यूएस के लिए गुट निरपेक्ष क्या था, सोवियत यूनियन के लिए गुट निरपेक्ष क्या था. तो बट इंडिया के लिए गुट निरपेक्ष यही था कि इंडिया वाज नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, इंडिया वाज नॉट एस्पायर्ड टू बी entanglement between the two centers of the power. One is United States, and another is USSR. So this is all about a brief introduction, about the strategic autonomy. Let me quote. And this concept, it was lost till the 1991. When the Cold War started onwards 1945, and it lasted till the 1991. Okay, so during this 40 or 50 years, India very, very consciously, very calculative way, India adopted this strategic autonomy through the non-alignment doctrine. Let me quote some India's scholars and statesmen. In 1991, the former President K.R. Narayanan invoked the term to underscore how India would seek to preserve its strategic autonomy in a global nuclear disarmament. So, K.R. Narayanan कहते हैं कि एक ग्लोबल न्यूक्लियर डिसआर्मामेंट में कैसे इंडिया अपने आप को स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी के रूप में, या कह सकते हैं कि जो फॉरेन पॉलिसी फॉर्मुलेशन होगा, तो इस एलिमेंट को कैसे एंजॉय करेगा, कैसे चेरिश करेगा. लेट मी नेक्स्ट. So okay, now you know that after the 1991, the scene has been changed. The scenario of the world politics has dramatically changed. You can say the decisive change has taken place after the 1991. The Cold War politics has ended. Okay, there was a triumph of capitalism over the socialism. It was said. Some quoted the end of history. So India, the collapse of the Soviet Union. So you can say the 1990s was a watershed year in the world history. And of course, you know that Indian foreign policy adapted itself according to the changes. And after 1991, of course, India changed its strategic autonomy in a more vigorous, in a more articulative way, because this strategic autonomy, more or less, it was enjoyed by the Indian foreign policy. Sometimes this center, sometimes this center. I'll explain in the coming slides how India has maintained its strategic autonomy and how India has maintained its national interest through this notion of strategic autonomy. So, but after the 1991, the post-Cold War era, which we call, it is the post-Cold War era. So, post-Cold War era has changed everything. The power dynamics have changed. Your unipolar world emerged in military terms. So, accordingly, India reshaped its reoriented orientation, especially the notion of strategic autonomy. और आपको यहाँ बताऊं मैं कि यहाँ पर जो सामरिक स्वायत्तता है 1991 के बाद ये और अपनी विग्रस रूप में सामने आता है भारतीय विदेशी नीति में. भारतीय विदेशी नीति में सामरिक स्वायत्तता का जो प्रश्न है 1990 के बाद भारत ने इसको असर्टिव बहुत अच्छी तरीके से अपनी फॉरेन पॉलिसी फॉर्मुलेशन में इसको रखा. हम देखेंगे आगे कैसे. Now, as I said, that India is no longer a strategic middleweight, my dear friends. अब India एक middleweight country नहीं है. Okay, India is a nuclear armed power. In 1974, India conducted nuclear test. In 1998, India, Pokhran 2, India conducted nuclear test. So India became a nuclear power country. So now India is not a middleweight country. See, India has emerged. India is not rising. India has emerged already. So here, in a nuclear power country, following the world's third largest military budget, as well as the fifth largest economy, this is the India's profile. And guys, this profile matters in reshaping, in formulating, in dealing, your neighborhood, extended neighborhood, and other major powers. So, over the years, India started to pursue issue-based alignment. अब सवाल ये है कि issue-based alignment क्या है? इस चीज का जो reflection है, now you can see the issue-based alignment in the later slides. I'll discuss some of the incidents where India has grounded this notion of strategic autonomy in the later slides. But let me clear here that India. You can see the drop is the notion of non-alignment era. Now India has entered into the issue-based alignment, that we will align, but on the basis of issue, not on the basis of ideology. Okay, so this is known as a decisional autonomy. इसको हम कहते हैं हिंदी में यदि कहूँ कि हम निर्णायक स्वायत्तता, हमें स्वायत्त होना है, हमें जो डिसीजनल autonomy है, हम रशिया के साथ S-400 खरीदेंगे तो हम यूएस की बात को नहीं मानेंगे, यूएस के प्रेशर को नहीं एक्सेप्ट करेंगे। हम ईरान के साथ हमारे यदि चाबहार पोर्ट हम यदि बिल्ड कर रहे हैं तो हम यूएस के कंसर्न को साइड करेंगे, गॉट इट। और यदि हम यूएस के साथ हमारे डिफेंस रिलेशन बढ़ रहे हैं तो हम रशिया के कंसर्न को साइड लाइन करेंगे, ठीक है ना। तो इस तरह का जो पावर डायनेमिक्स है इसी को कहते हैं इशू बेस्ड अलाइनमेंट। आई विल डिस्कस इन लेटर कि ये है इशू बेस्ड अलाइनमेंट, इसी को हम कहते हैं डिसीजनल ऑटोनॉमी। फॉर एग्जांपल यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स कह रहा है कि अब आपको ईरान के साथ अपने संबंध को आप you need to stop to import the oil from Iran. This is the United States is putting pressure on India. So Iran retaliated. Iran ने retaliate किया कि India must resilient on this stand. Got it? So this is a decisional autonomy. And let me quote current India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar rightly noted that India has come to discover the benefits of working with the different powers on different issues. इसका मतलब यहाँ पर ये हुआ कि भारत को आज अलग डिफरेंट इशू और डिफरेंट कंट्री के साथ हमें अपने अलाइनमेंट करना होगा। हमें रशिया के हमें डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन करना, हम रशिया की तरफ देखेंगे। हमें चाइना को कंटेन करना, चाइना का जो थ्रेट है हमारे बॉर्डर पर उसको कंटेन करना, हम रशिया की तरफ जाएंगे, ठीक है ना। हमें एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी को फुलफिल करना, हम ईरान की तरफ बढ़ेंगे, ठीक है ना। ईरान हमें क्या करता है, ऑयल देता है, हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं ऑयल को। हमें डिफेंस रिलेशन को डाइवर्सिफाई करना, हम इजराइल की तरफ बढ़ेंगे। तो दिस इज व्हाट जयशंकर कहते हैं टू डिस्कवर द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ वर्किंग विद द डिफरेंट पावर्स। व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट पावर्स? यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स, रशियन फेडरेशन, चाइना, okay, Australia, Japan, okay, Middle East, especially Iran, Saudi Arab, UAE. So this is the different powers on the different issue. Issue is different. As I said, to contain the China, Russia is important for us. Got it? And to enhance the trade, United States is important for us. To modernize the defense cooperation, Israel is important for us. So this is the different issues that India needs to maintain its strategic autonomy while dealing the major powers or other regional players. So this is what. So let us see. अब मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि हिस्ट्री में कैसे हमने इस ये जो स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी, जो सामरिक स्वायत्तता की अवधारणा को, कंसेप्ट को, हाउ इंडिया हैज रियलाइज्ड सिंस 1947 until now, how India has endured, how India has cherished, how India has strengthened over the years this notion of strategic autonomy. So let me discuss one by one. Okay. Guys, this slide this slide heading is decoding India's flexible strategic autonomy. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. The term, you can see here the decoding India's flexible strategic autonomy. A strategic autonomy with the flexible approach, that is contradiction. Either we should welcome strategic autonomy, or we should manipulate its strategic autonomy. Keep in mind the different issue with the different players. And let me remind you again, Henry Kissinger. America has no permanent enemies, the permanent French, but the permanent interest. So this is equally applicable to Indian context. Interest, especially the national interest. When we talk about the interest here, I'm into national interest. Your foreign policy is all about to realize national interest. Always keep in mind, guys. मित्रों ध्यान रखिए कि किसी भी देश की विदेशी नीति का जो सुप्रीम वैल्यू होता है, this is all about to realize the national interest. Okay, so it's very interesting decoding. I would like to know analysis this strategic autonomy through the historical events, and I hope that you will enjoy how India has managed skillfully, how India has diplomatically managed this notion of strategic autonomy, its foreign policy over the years. So let me first 1962 war, India-China war. And this war, you know that it was the first, after the 1947, I think it was the war that humiliated, it was for the debacle. It humiliated psychologically. And it was a water sediment for Indian history. And there are various factors behind this Indo-China war. I'm not going into the detail. I'm here going to discuss how far India has, adopted strategic autonomy and how far India has benefited from United States in this, Indo-China war, 1962. And that is why the term flexible becomes important here, guys. This flexible term is important. So, guys, that let me discuss something about the India-China war. October 1962, when there was November, when there was war broke out between India and China, and during that time, Russia, Soviet Union, during the time Soviet Union, Khrushchev was the president of the Russian Soviet Union, and he supported China. Is a kind of communist, brotherhood, communist fraternity, and blaming India, that India is responsible for that. So during that time, then US President John F. Kennedy realized that yes, this is the time to back India. This is the time to stand by India. This is time to support India, and because of that, John F. Kennedy extended unflinching, uninterrupted, unconditional support to India. And United States, under his leadership, sent a naval ship into the Bay of Bengal. Got it? So, guys, here you can see how India has managed, how India has benefited from the US support during this Indo-China war. And Mao, the leader of the China, he was threatened by the United States. Unfortunately, in 1963, he was assassinated, and there was a pressure inside the United States. There was pressure from the British UK. There was pressure from the Pakistan. So because of that, later on the scenario had changed. But during the 1962 war, India got uninterrupted, unconditional, unflinching support from the United States. So this is, you can say, this is the diplomatic, you can say, success of India's foreign policy. The notion of strategic autonomy. During that time, ये शब्द बहुत important नहीं था. strategic autonomy, सामरिक स्वायत्तता. वहाँ पर non alignment का जो theory थी वो बहुत important था. मैं आपको बता दूं, let me remind you guys, 1991 तक strategic autonomy ये एक nuance था, inherent था, implicit था. It was not so resonant. ये बहुत resonant नहीं था. ये completely ये implicit था. मैंने बताया कि ये और non alignment it was resonant. ये पूरी तरह से completely एक कह सकते हैं कि जो ecosystem था foreign policy पर non alignment की theory dominant थी और उस theory का भारत को उसको लाभ मिला 1962 में. So this is the scene of and let me remind you that 1962 after the war, Kennedy emerged as a hero. He was emerged as the icon in Indian mass psychology. Even the pan shop, जिसे मैं कहता हूँ पान की दुकान, which is known as the barometer of public to create the public opinion. तो भारत में कहा जाता है कि जो पान की दुकान होती है वो पब्लिक ओपिनियन को तय करने का एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण स्थान होता है वहां पर. तो ड्यूरिंग द पान शॉप आप कह सकते हैं कि प्लेस ऑफ बैरोमीटर टू क्रिएट द पब्लिक ओपिनियन. द Kennedy was mesmerizing. He emerged as a hero in Indian psychology, Indian mass psychology during that time. The kind of he extended, the kind of he rendered unflinching support to Indian for the India. So this is the one incident. So the second that is most important, and it is very, very interesting to know how the things have dramatically changed over the years after the 1962 war. आप देखेंगे कि वही 1962 में जो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स सेंट naval ship into the Bay of Bengal, आज वही यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऐसा क्या हो गया कि 71 की युद्ध में वही अमेरिका भारत के विरुद्ध खड़ा हो गया. आखिर क्या हो गया कि वही जो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स भारत के सामने खड़ा है युद्ध के लिए और सोवियत यूनियन जो 62 में भारत के खिलाफ था वो भारत के साथ खड़ा हो गया. तो ये जो तस्वीर है ये मैं आपको अब नेक्स्ट जो पॉइंट उस पर डिस्कस करूंगा. सो let me discuss again the 1971 Indo-Pak war. How in this war the excess of British Washington, United States, British in the Pak, the three axis country, Pak, US and the British. This the three axis, it emerged as against India, and that in 1971, Soviet Union, emerged as a reliable, time-tested partner of India. So let me remind you a very, very, you can say mesmerizing statement that was made by the Nikita Khrushchev during the 1971 war. आप यहाँ से रिलाइज कर सकते हैं कि क्या सीन कैसे चेंज हो रही है. ये है वैश्विक राजनीति जो इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स इस तरह से करोटे बदलती है. और तभी हेनरी किसिंजर की जो बात है वो बहुत रिलेवेंट हो जाती है, प्रासंगिक हो जाती है कि नो वन इज परमानेंट, नथिंग इज परमानेंट इन टर्म्स ऑफ द फ्रेंड्स एंड द फोर्स. मित्र और शत्रु स्थायी नहीं है. आप यहाँ देख रहे हैं यहाँ स्क्रीन पर स्थायी क्या है, इंटरेस्ट. जरूर ऑफ कोर्स देयर मस्ट हैव बीन सम इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स that supported Pakistan in 1971. And of course, there must have been some interest of the Soviet Union that extended unflinching support to Indian subcontinent. So let me remind you, let me quote Nikita Khrushchev here, 1971 war. He said, we are, उन्होंने इंदिरा गांधी उस समय प्राइम मिनिस्टर थी, उनके लिए उन्होंने बोला भारत को एक एड्रेस करते हुए, we are so near that if ever you call us from the mountain tops, we will appear at your side. इसका मतलब हिंदी में हुआ कि यदि पर्वत की श्रृंखला से भारत की जो पर्वत की श्रृंखला है वहां से भी यदि आपने एक आवाज दे दी तो सोवियत यूनियन आपके पास रातों रात खड़ा हो जाएगा. ये भावनात्मक, you can say ना, emotional statement made by the Nikita Khrushchev. And let me tell you very frankly, even today, we cherished this time-tested, enduring partnership, civilizational partnership with the Russian Federation. This is the legacy. This is the legacy despite the divergent issues. मैंने आपको कहा कि परिदृश्य बदल गए हैं. The scenario has been changed. Players has been changed. India has diversified its orientation. मैंने आपको बताया कि हम issue based alignment की तरफ बढ़ चुके हैं. Yes, आज भी रूस भारत के साथ खड़ा है. इस पैंडेमिक में आपने देखा कि किस तरह से व्लादिमीर पुतिन भारत को सपोर्ट के लिए हर क्षण खड़े रहते हैं. So you can see the resonance, you can see the voice. Let me put some important example in recent example which demonstrate that how India has maintained this strategic autonomy despite the external pressures. And for that important illustration is India and Iran. So there is that Iran and United States are the arch rival countries. Okay, there is a geopolitical tussle between the both countries, and United States has imposed so many times economic sanction on Iran. Diplomatically, US wanted to sideline Iran because of the Middle East policies. There is a rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia. So there is the different story I'll discuss in later. However, here it is important to see how India has categorically sidelined the US concern, especially in Iran context. You know that India imports oil from Iran, and Iran is the biggest source for Indian energy security. So Iran is important for energy security. Iran is important as well as geopolitical perspective. For example, the recent in 2016 there is an agreement that India, Iran, and Afghanistan will build a Chabahar port, and this Chabahar port has a geostrategic importance for India, because it bypasses the Pakistan, right? So it has a geopolitical importance. So, and both the three countries started, building this Chabahar port. So, and it is a huge, geopolitical asset of India in Iran. So, so because of this, but what the US pressure on India, US wanted the India should stop its oil import from the Iran. US putting pressure on India to stop importing oil from Iran, but it is not acceptable for India. India has sidelined that. United States. We have a strategic autonomy, and we are issue-based alignment. Okay, so no, we cannot ignore Iran in terms of energy security as well as in terms of the security reasons. Just I mentioned the Chabahar port. So this is the reason how India has, though there is a pressure, and recently though India slightly stopped its importing oil from the Iran, and Iran got disappointed. Iran sent a message to India that India must be resilient to the US response. Okay, so however, by and large on Iran issue, India has maintained its strategic autonomy. Let me come on India and Russia. And that is most important, guys, students. This is the recent example how India has asserted, how India has, enduring this principle of strategic autonomy in Russian context, because in the recent India and Russia, signed a deal that is known as S-400 air defense missile system. So this defense deal, it marked a landslide, a landslide remarkable event in a defense history between India and Russia. And you should know that the United States expressed a deep concern over this defense deal. India, let me slide next. So here, the $5 billion. This deal took place between India and India and Russian Federation with the $5 billion S-400 air defense missile system. And when the deal signed between India and Russian Federation, I said that US sent a very provocative message to India that India should stop. India should not sign with the Russian Federation. But surprisingly, it's a very interesting point that India has categorically sidelined the US concern by saying that, yes, this is our need. We want to modernize our defense cooperation. We want to boost our defense cooperation. We want to modernize our defense industry. Okay, for the security reasons. So India sidelined. India didn't give any response to United States by saying that this is all strategic issue, strategic autonomy, and it is crucial for Indian security concern, for Indian security issue. So India finally signed this defense deal. At the same time, here, let me quote another example. The same treaty deal with the Turkey and Russian Federation. But United States posed economic sanction on Turkey under the countering America's adversaries through sanction act. इसको कहते हैं कास्ट सा. ये एक उसका अपना एक मैकेनिज्म है कि इस मैकेनिज्म के अंदर यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ने टर्की पर इकोनॉमिक सैंक्शन लगाया. बट वही यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स भारत पर, इंडिया पर इकोनॉमिक सैंक्शन लगाने की हिम्मत नहीं जुटा पाया. क्यों? क्योंकि इंडिया की अपनी एक स्ट्रेटजिक इकोनॉमी है. इंडिया का अपना पेट है. मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया था कि इंडिया एक मिडिल वेट कंट्री नहीं है. इंडिया हैज इमर्ज्ड. गॉट इट. तो इंडिया को साइड लाइन करना इस बेस पर कि आप रशिया से डिफेंस डील मत करो, दैट इज not feasible for United States, and that is why United States followed a different policy on the same issue. On Turkey, United States imposed economic sanction, and on India, United States only so concerned it didn't impose any kind of economic sanction. So this is the recent case, and let me tell you how much India is important for Russia, and vice versa. How much Russia is important for India. So in this case, you should understand that despite the diversification policy of India, इंडिया ने क्या किया है कि रिसेंट हिस्ट्री में अभी इंडिया ने अपने जो डिफेंस, हमारा जो इंडस्ट्री थी, अपने डिफेंस जो मैकेनिज्म है, हमने उसको क्या किया, अपने डिफेंस एग्रीमेंट को, डिफेंस डील को डाइवर्सिफाई किया. जैसे कि आज की डेट में इजराइल हमारा थर्ड डिफेंस पार्टनर है, यूएस रशिया एंड के बाद थर्ड रैंक रखता है इजराइल। तो यहाँ पर इंपॉर्टेंट है जानना कि डिस्पाइट द डाइवर्सिफिकेशन, India has diversification policy of the defense. However, from 2014 to 2018, Russia remained as a top defense partner supplier to India. Got it? So हम ये समझ सकते हैं कि रशिया कितने इंपॉर्टेंट है इंडिया के लिए इस डिफेंस डील में। ये एक S-400 एयर डिफेंस मिसाइल सिस्टम की इमेज है, आप देख सकते हैं इसको। यही इसी को लेकर के $5 बिलियन की डील हमारी रशिया इंडिया के साथ हुई है, और बहुत ही मॉडर्नाइज्ड कह सकते हैं कि मॉडरेटेड डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी विद इंडिया एंड रशिया। So now you can understand this is what in defense sector we have endured our strategic autonomy. Now the second point I would like to put emphasis on the Russian importance for Indian foreign policy. That in the recent deadlock, you can say the standoff between India and China, Russia emerged as a reliable partner. Russia stood as a time-tested, enduring partner with India. And एज ए डिप्लोमेटिक प्लेयर के रूप में जब हमारा बॉर्डर टेंशन लास्ट ईयर जून में स्टार्ट था चाइना के साथ, तो उस समय रशियन एम्बेसडर जो कुदाशियो इंडियन जो एम्बेसडर हैं इंडिया में, रशियन जो एम्बेसडर, उन्होंने रिस्पॉन्ड किया कि वी वेलकम ऑल स्टेप्स at de-escalation at the LSE, including the conversation between the two foreign ministers, and remain optimistic. यहाँ पर रशिया चाहता तो चाइना का साइड ले सकता था, बिकॉज चाइना के साथ उसके अच्छे संबंध है, बट रशिया ने क्या किया कि maintained try to de-escalate, try to mitigate the conflict between India and China. So again, and send a clear message to the China that Russia cannot compromise on the China issue with India. Russia, backed India on China issues. This is one example. And another example is in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In 2017, India was supported by Moscow to counter the growing dominance of China in the organization. Russia wanted to contain the growing dominance in the Shanghai Cooperation by including India as a permanent member of the SCO. So this is a strategic initiative of the Russian Federation. आप यहाँ देख सकते हो कि कैसे चाइना को कंटेन करने के लिए रशिया हमारे साथ आ रहा है, और हम रशिया को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं। और रशिया के हमारा जो बायलैटरल रिलेशन है रशिया के साथ, वो चाहे डिफेंस हो, वो चाहे इकोनॉमिक फील्ड में हो, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और इसीलिए हमने रशिया के साथ जब स्टैब्लिश रिलेशन कर रहे हैं तो स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी को हवाला देकर के यूएस के कंसर्न को हमने साइड किया, और यही स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी को हवाला देकर रशिया ने चाइना के कंसर्न को साइड लाइन किया। So this is important to understand. Now, I would like to now focus on the second point, the Israel. Israel issue पर कहाँ पर कैसे इंडिया ने रिस्पॉन्ड किया अदर कंट्रीज के प्रेशर्स को, जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पर हम रशिया के और इंडिया रशिया का टसल आई वुड लाइक टू डेमोन्स्ट्रेट हियर। As you know that onwards 1991, इसके बाद हम इजराइल के साथ क्लोज हुए हैं। इसके पहले रशिया and India has been very reluctant towards the Israel. Though historically Israel stood with India on crucial times like during the Kargil War, Israel supported India. So onwards in 1992, we started a diplomatic relation with Israel, and And during the Vajpayee government, India approached towards Israel, and we started our diplomatic relation, bilateral relation with Israel. And because the Israel is known as the to counter is known for its defense technology. Israel is known for its intelligence. Israel is known for its काउंटर टेररिज्म जो काउंटर टेररिज्म के साथ कैसे लड़ना वो इजराइल के पास एक मैकेनिज्म है जो एक इजराइल का जो कैपेसिटी है उसकी जो राइजिंग पावर है हम इग्नोर उसको नहीं कर सकते हैं और इसीलिए इंडिया हैज डाइवर्सिफाइड इट्स डिफेंस सेक्टर इट्स डिफेंस डील फ्रॉम रशिया एंड नाउ द इजराइल रैंक्स द थर्ड पोजीशन इन डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री. Okay, so that's why here Israel becomes important. जैसे मैंने बताया कि सिक्योरिटी इश्यू को लेकर के, इंटेलिजेंस को लेकर के, काउंटर टेररिज्म को लेकर के इजराइल इंडिया का एक रिलायबल पार्टनर के रूप में इमर्ज हुआ है. और यहाँ पर द थर्ड लार्जेस्ट सप्लायर मैंने कहा कि डिफेंस के रूप में इमर्ज हुआ है रशिया और यूएसए के बाद. तो लिटिल बिट रशिया का एक डिसअपॉइंटमेंट था, बट अगेन India again sidelined the Russian concern about the Israel policy. And you know that in 2017, this current regime under the Modi government, Prime Minister Modi visited Israel. It was the first ever visit of Indian Prime Minister. And subsequently, Israel's head of state visited in India. PM Benjamin Netanyahu visit New Delhi in 2018, I think. So this diplomatic relations started. And today जो आज भी स्ट्रगल चल रहा फलस्तीन इजराइल के बीच में, तो इंडिया ने बहुत ही नुआंस तरीके से अपने रिस्पॉन्स किया है. दोनों साइड के जो टेंशन उसको डी एस्केलेट करने की कोशिश की है और ये कोशिश किया कि एरिया में एक पीस फिर से रिस्टोर हो, शांति का और अमन का जो चैन वहां पर आए और हमें डिप्लोमेटिकली इशू को वन साइडेड नहीं हुए. और यही है, दिस इज द स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑटोनॉमी ऑफ India's foreign policy. So, guys, this is the image. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla visit to Russia amid the ongoing stand-off. मैं आपको बताया था कि during the tension in last 2020 June, there was tension between standoff between India and China, and during this visit, Foreign Secretary visit, it restored the confidence. And during this visit, Russia sidelined the Chinese, concern and appealed to de-escalate between India and China. इस इशू पर मेरा एक कमेंट है, मेरा आर्टिकल है, आप इस आर्टिकल को नीचे ये डाउनलोड है, ये लिंक है, आप इस लिंक को यहाँ से देख सकते हैं. मैंने इस पर कमेंट किया था उस समय जब फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी की विजिट रशिया पर हुई थी, तो ये मेरा कमेंट था. एशियन नेट न्यूज है .com है, इस पर मेरा एक कमेंट्री आई थी. तो मैंने इस पर शो किया था कि कैसे ये जो विजिट है, इस विजिट के क्या मायने हैं, इससे क्या आगे इसके आउटकम्स होंगे. ऑफ कोर्स इस विजिट में रशिया ने हमारा सपोर्ट किया और ये एक जो करंट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट डिबेट है आज की, और आपकी एग्जामिनेशन के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट ये सीन देखने को. ये इंडियन क्वाड है, क्वाड्रिलेटरल सिक्योरिटी डायलॉग, इंडिया, जापान, ऑस्ट्रेलिया एंड यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स. Again, let me put some most important figures and the facts during this quad. ये क्वाड है क्या? ये क्वाड फिर से एक टेंशन दे दिया किसको? टेंशन इसको कहा जाता है कि ये एशिया का नाटो है क्या? जैसे नाटो यूरोप में एक नाटो है, उसका सिक्योरिटी अलायंस है कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी को लेकर के. तो इट इज जनरली बिलीव, स्कॉलर्स आर्ग्यू, scholars started argue that it has emerged, yeah, it is being emerged as a Asian NATO, but nothing at all. इसके बहुत dimensions हैं. However, the four powerful countries like Japan, Australia, India, and United States, created this forum, which we know as a Quad. और क्वाड को बनने से एक तरह से एक सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न को लेकर रशिया फिर से कहीं ना कहीं रशिया के मन में आया कि ये इंडिया का जो झुकाव है यूएस के प्रति, ये सिक्योरिटी इशू को लेकर के, तो एक सस्पेशन आया, एक डाउट आया. बट इंडिया categorically sent a message to the Russian Federation. This is not against Russia. Right? It is our foreign policy, it is our strategic autonomy to contain the China. ओके, चाइना को कंटेन करने के लिए ये क्वाड इम्पोर्टेंट है. और ये 4 इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमी, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, जापान, तो सिक्योरिटी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, इकोनॉमिक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ये रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इम्पोर्टेंट है. बट इसके बनने से एक स्कॉलर्स started making comments that this quad it may threat to some sense Russian Federation. But Russia is optimistic, and Russia understands that India will not be joining any kind of alliance against Russia. This is our understanding between the India and Russia. So, but however, of course, it is an initiative to contain the China, because the way the China expansionist policies, the way the China is containing India through BRT, Belt and Road initiatives, the way the China is containing India through South China Sea, the way the China is containing India in the Indian Ocean. So this is the counter response to the China. So guys, this is all about the strategic autonomy. ये मेरा कमेंट है इस इशू को लेकर के कि किस तरह से हिंदुस्तान, ये भारत, ये इंडिया 1947 से लेकर के आज तक, इनिशियली 1990 तक हमने नॉन अलाइनमेंट के इशू को आगे रखा, और स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी उसका एक पार्ट था, उसका इम्प्लिसिट पार्ट था. 1991 when the world has changed, when the Soviet Union collapsed, when the Cold War has ended, so the world, the nature of the world politics had changed. So India redefined its foreign policy by putting forefront strategic autonomy to realize its national interest by saying to deal a different issue with the different players, as quoted by the current foreign minister, external affairs minister S. Jaishankar. Now India is multi-aligned. India is not non-aligned, it is multi-aligned. India is issue-based aligned. आज हम मुद्दों के, मैंने आपको बताया, आपके 1991 के बाद हमने इजराइल से, रशिया से, यूएस से, जापान से, ऑस्ट्रेलिया से और डिफरेंट अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज, ब्रिक्स को लेकर के, एससीओ को लेकर के और ईयू को लेकर डिफरेंट रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, डिफरेंट इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में हमने स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी को पूरी तरह से कंप्लीटली, हो चाहे बायलैटरल रिलेशन रहो या मल्टीलैटरल एंगेजमेंट रहो या रीजनल एंगेजमेंट रहो, किसी भी तरह का इंडिया की जो फॉरेन पॉलिसी है उसमें स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी के एलिमेंट को हमने एंड्योरिंग किया है, परपिचुएट किया है और फिलोसफिकली इसको रखा है, स्ट्रेटजिकली इसको नर्चर किया है और एंजॉय किया है. I hope that in future India's foreign policy will be nurturing this philosophical document, strategic autonomy. So guys, dear friends, thank you so much to be here, and I hope that you must have enjoyed this topic, which is most important for your examination point of view, because Quad is important for your examination point of view, SCO is important for your examination point of view, and of course Israel is important for your examination point of view. The way India has diversified its orientation, the way India has redefined its orientation towards the Middle East, that is most important for any coming examination or any commission's examination. So thank you so much. ये मेरी एक ट्विटर हैंडल है, आप इसको फॉलो कर सकते हो @Dr. Sandeep Tripathi 5. So see you. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best for your future. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shashank Academy. Thank you, dear my colleague. As I said, the renowned historian Shashank Pathak. Thank you so much. Thank you.